Hi friends, it's Caitlin and welcome back to the Floating Rock Podcast. I hope you're having the most incredible day ever. So I had a horrifying thought last night. Horrifying is a strong word. But guys, I have a hard time falling asleep. I don't know about you, but I'm not just like, oh, good night. Like, no, not me, not this bitch. Anyway, not the point. I'm tossing and turning, minding my own business, as always minding my own business at that late hour of the night. And then I just had this thought that jutted my eyes open, and I was just, let me read what I wrote down at midnight or whatever, because I was trying to go to bed early, so I was midnight. I woke up in the middle of the night. Anyway, the thought I had, and then what went right back to sleep, was you go through periods of trying to figure out life to just enjoying it. And as we know, hi, we're on the Floating Rock Podcast, and the Floating Rock Podcast tends to be a little self-helpy. I'm not gonna deny it. That's just what be happening. And I don't know if it's just I've been analyzing the pod or just thinking about it more now that I can really put a lot of focus on it and stuff. But basically what I feel half asleep Caitlin was trying to say was, wow, I really do spend so much of my time, so much of my life trying to figure out life and not enjoying it as much. And I was like, oh my god, I didn't like that. That was a rude awakening. Literally, I was pissed off by it. So pissed off that I had a whole different idea for the pod today. I'm not kidding. Bullet points, set up the camera, tried it twice. I only got 2 minutes in, don't worry. I didn't waste too much time. And I couldn't record that episode because my realization thing was just looming in my mind. And I was like, no. So I was like, well, now I feel called. I must speak on this. So also apologies if my thoughts aren't fully fleshed out. They honestly, this seems like the kind of thing that there are people with hot takes on TikTok about already, the self-help epidemic or whatever people are probably calling it for clickbait or whatever. And maybe I'll call it that, who knows. But I don't know. I wanted to share that. And as you guys know, I always do talk about trying to be the least self-helpy as I can, and just keep it conversational and I'm learning too, and just our thoughts together. And yeah, I just was oh my god, what the fuck? And as you guys know, I read, when it comes to reading, I like to read more self-help kind of books, and just a lot of the content I like to consume is either workout advice or fun foods for gym people, or obviously just normal self-help shit, confidence, all that stuff. I'm definitely a big consumer person of the self-help stuff, and now I'm also a a creator. Literally, get off my screen. That's crazy. But yeah, so I just thought I'd talk today about self-help. Let's just call it the self-help epidemic, and let's just say if it's a disease, I definitely have it. And perhaps you have it. I don't know. Let me know if you feel the same way. If you're oh, fuck. And I think there's lots of sides to this, because when I first initially had my thought, I think I also imagined a kind of red pill, male, conservative ass perspective of someone listening to the podcast, of me trying to figure out what were some of my past episodes. Confidence or self-love or networking, just I don't know, some of my episodes that are just very I don't know, self-helpy, if you will. I don't know. And I just imagine them being or maybe not even that kind of person, but just certain people seeing that and being why don't you just live your damn life instead of yapping about how to figure it out? And I was and initially I'm peeved by that thought, right? I'm but then to an extent I do see a point, I'm okay, yeah, that is a decent ass point of what, almost you're wasting life minutes just trying to figure out life, but life is going to keep happening no matter what. And this is not going to be a crazy existential crisis, doom, oh god, we've all been wasting our time, not that. But yeah, just conversation about this, because if you know who I am, you're probably oh, this is kind of crazy. But anyway, so on that note, I just think it's so interesting how there is an entire bucket of media, if you will, category of media, books, podcasts, TikToks, not really movies, but you know what I mean? So much stuff to consume about self-help. And it's just really funny to me. obviously I'm participating in it, but still, like, the entire thought of like, wow, there is just a whole category of people creating things, telling other people how to live life. Not even like, oh, like, do this, but it's, oh, and this is how to do life. And it's like weird. It's like putting like an instruction manual to life, which is just, I don't know, you're living. I hope this is like interesting to you guys so far. Like, I'm like, this really sounds kind of off the wallsy, but like I said, it's conversational. But I just think it's so interesting if you really sit down and think about it, like, whoa. And because it's not like you're watching a movie for entertainment and enjoyment, you know? You're watching, let's say you're watching me talk about how to network, and instead of just like going out and networking, you know, like, it's weird. It's literally so weird. But that's not, I just also don't feel like that's the right perspective either, to be like, just freaking do it, you know, like, oh, just freaking live your life, like, just be confident, don't be sad. Like, that's not it. Yeah, so I don't know, I just think that's so interesting, right? But okay, so then obviously my perspective, right? Like, because I can definitely see the other side. Like, I'm like, wait, that does make a lot of sense. Like, I could see how someone could totally like criticize the shit out of like everything that I say and everything that all the other self-help girlies or boys are saying, or just self-help people who put so much time and effort into helping thyself. However, I raise you though. I do raise you. Like, I do think this content and like, yeah, why I chose to kind of start doing it and why I obviously consume so much of it, I think it's very motivating, you know, like, it makes you hear things like, oh, and you can be very productive per se. Like, let's say it's like some sort of productivity book or episode, whatever. I feel like it is very motivating. And like, even if you're not, like, how much advice are we really taking from all this self-help stuff? You know, like, I think that's a misconception as well, is people who consume a lot of self-help stuff, if you will, they're taking all the advice, you know, for better or for worse. But I feel like a lot of the time it's just like the vibes of someone else saying like, you can do this, I did it, this is how to do it. And maybe you take bits and pieces of that kind of stuff, but I feel like a large majority of the time it's just hearing someone talk about the idea of doing stuff or living a certain way that's motivating to like live that certain way. And another thing, especially when it comes to like scheduling, I saw this random TikTok today. Was it today? Last night? I don't know. But someone was like, things I'm doing to live a less dopamine exhausting life. Like, basically like your typical like, don't go on your phone the second you wake up, or, you know, all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that they said was planning less. And I was like, oh, do not come for my brand. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because if you know me, I have a note in my phone. I think I told the pod once before. It was kind of a long time ago. I have a note in my phone. Instead of like, God forbid, user calendar, bitch. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. A note in my phone and has bullet points of everything I'm going to do in a day. And my wet dream is to do it right before I go to bed. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to work out and I'm going to do this and that and that. And then as I go throughout the day, I'll check things off. Or if I like do something unexpected, I add it to it, check it off, just because I'm like, ooh, and I did that, period. Check. And I love to plan. Some might say over plan, or at least like my own life. Like if it involves like other things or other people, like maybe not as much, but like my day-to-day life, I love to just like have it all planned out. And you would think like, oh, that's too much. Like, just live your life and like let the day take you, blah, blah, blah. But like, I feel like the way that my brain truly works is if I don't exactly know what I'm supposed to do next, I'm doing nothing, or I'm just not being a productive human. Like, cause not that you have to be productive, but as we know, like, I'm in the transitional period of all this post-grad, whatever. And I noticed that the days that were very open and that I didn't necessarily have a really nice and detailed bullet point list of like what I'm doing that day were the days that I like kind of wasted my day, you know? Not that any day is a waste, but like, I feel like I like to have a sense of direction, you know? And literally today I came home from my boxing class, and then I got a little bit distracted because there were a few things I wanted to like look up, and then all of a sudden I spent 2 hours after my class, and the next thing that was on my list after my class was supposed to be recording the pod, and I'm recording the pod at 2. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Like, I in my thing was supposed to be recording the pod around noon. I'm like 2 hours behind because I didn't really stick to it. And okay, this is getting rambly now, but it's just another perspective of like, sometimes I think as people or as different people, we need to like structure our lives in different ways to like make them work. Because like I truly believe for me, which I think is on like a more self-helpy perspective, is I would rather over-plan my day, not get everything done in that day, than under-plan it and just kind of be free-floating, you know? And it's weird because you'd think like, oh, just like live your life and do whatever. But I'm like, no, like, because then I do so much less. And it's wild. But then I'm like, oh, so is it bad that I plan out everything? Like this girl says that like it really releases dopamine to like be planning all these random things. But I don't know, I don't think so. And I feel like one of the biggest things too about all this self-help shit is trying to like mold your life the best that you can for yourself. Because if you're a person that isn't receptive to a lot of planning or like bullet pointing out your whole day, if you do currently do that, like you probably feel super stressed and overwhelmed and like I just can never get anything done and I'm like falling behind. Like if you aren't receptive to that, I personally like I'm okay with not checking shit off. I'm like, okay, that's for tomorrow, you know, like. But I feel like too a big plus of kind of this self-help stuff is like, as we know with atomic habits and all that, like repetition just makes it a habit, and then that's just inherently how you live. So then I'm like, okay, am I just in a bubble? Are we just in a bubble of our 20s? Like 20s is the time that you are trying to figure out your life, you know? It's because I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not talking to too many like real adults, but like, I don't know how many of them are like listening to Mel Robbins and like listening on self-help improvement shit, you know? Because I feel like by that age, you kind of know what you're doing and you are just kind of here to, I'd hope, enjoy it, you know? But I just think that's so interesting. But yeah, I think when it comes to my own thoughts on like the self-help stuff and maybe is it too much or too little, or do you plan too much, or are you just too, almost like do you have too tight of a grip on the reins of your own life, you know? But I also think that there is such a beautiful part and like aspect to like self-help stuff where like for me personally, like I like, while you could say, Caitlin, you're wasting all your time like talking about it on the pod, you're wasting all your time reading about it, thinking about it, listening to stuff about it, whatever, I also really do just enjoy living my life and learning lessons from it and synthesizing those lessons. Like it's one thing to just like learn something and kind of be conscious of it, but it's another thing to like fully analyze that shit, you know, and like really think about it and be like, this is a lesson I learned. And I also think it's so fun to like find strategies and implement strategies that I hear from others into my life on how to live my life to a fuller extent, if you will. Because I think also when we say, oh, live your life, people think like, for me inherently, I think of like wild and free, you're running in a field, but like realistically in the world we live in right now, like that's just not how people live, you know? Like a lot of life is centered around work, right? It's around work, it's about, you know, the people you're around. So like hypothetically, yeah, just go live, but wouldn't you think that focusing on self-help and focusing on strategies and lessons and all that kind of stuff would actually help you create more like unconscious habits and ways of living to therefore then live this already regimented life that we have in a better way? Is that my thesis? Oh my fucking god, guys. Okay, I don't know. This is my soapbox of the day, and it's not fully formulated, and I don't know if I believe 100% of anything I'm saying right now, but I just felt like I needed to talk about this because it just is on my fucking mind. So now we enter the cute part of the pod. So I'm hoping I kind of got my thoughts out. I understand and believe both sides, that I think there is almost a little bit of a self-help epidemic, but I also do believe that there is so much good and like fun almost, if you will, and just like good stuff behind self-help, like practicing it, reading it, consuming it, all that kind of stuff. So like I really do can see both sides, and it's like, like that's so annoying, right? Actually, it's a good thing to see both sides, and maybe there's a third side, I don't even know. It's a triangle. But in light of this, and as I tell you, like it's kind of similar to like my Caitlin's Corner episode, my series. Like I do enjoy making things that aren't about this is how to live better, you know, and how to be better and whatever. And it's just kind of fun and silly and what's been on my mind and cuteness, and wear PJ sets because they're fun. And then my other one, my things I find funny. Oh, I need to make one of those soon. No one listens to them, but still, I enjoy them when I have enough funny thoughts to compile into an episode. But yeah, I can really see both sides. And I do think that to an extent, maybe I have devoted not too much of my time in my life to self-help stuff, but I do think that there is a balance, and you can't just spend your whole life trying to help yourself and live a better life. Like, that is one thing. Whenever I like see content about like to get, like, the phrase to get to where you want to be, I don't know why, that is one thing that whenever I see that, I'm like, but once you're there, like, what does that where you want to be even mean though? You know, like, do you guys ever see that kind of stuff? But it's like, for your future self, or get to where you want to be, and maybe they're talking about career or whatever, but it's like, but a lot of life is going to be still pretty similar. You're going to still wake up, you're still going to eat breakfast, you're still going to say hi to your friends or your mom or whatever. But you know, maybe that's not making sense, but like, sometimes I do get a little bit peeved when like people are so focused on, even myself, sorry if I'm like being hypocritical right now, I don't know, but yeah, so focused on like where you want to be, quote unquote. I have my air quotes out if you're not watching on YouTube. When realistically, where you want to be is maybe just a different job title, and maybe it's slightly better habits. But I just feel like it's so like short term, like those goals, and you know, like what it's almost centered around, because then what happens when you're there, you know, I don't know. But also I think it is a good thing to work towards where you want to see. Like, it's very two-sided, because I can also see, so this is very Socratic seminar, that I can also see how working towards where you want to be is like, for me, like where you want to be is somewhat financially free and pursuing creative things and liking my life, and the things that also come with that are going to be happiness and like more time to like pursue it, you know what I mean? So like, once again, two sides, but I understand what I'm talking about for like that one phrase though, where I'm like, anywho, so with all of this on my mind recently, and my realization that I'm definitely like a part of it, a part of the epidemic itself, I just thought of some things that I would like to try to instate into my life after having this realization. Look, and I'm self-helping about self-help. Isn't that fucking hilarious? Oh my god, I can't with her. I just can't. Okay, shut the fuck up, Caitlin. Here are some things that after this realization, it like made me want to do to attempt to live my life a little bit more, less centered around self-help, or just like live a little bit more, if you will, and not do things as regimented or whatever. Number one, reading fiction. Many people do this. I'm not one of those people. And this is probably just for me, because I know many of the, if you read, you probably already read fiction. I don't though. And I'm just like, you know what? I think that would be something good for me. I think instead of taking to bed a book that's just about how to be more successful or how to be more confident, which is a great thing, honestly, to fall asleep to, but taking a story to bed, I'm like, wait, cute. And obviously many people already do this. This is not revolutionary. But for me personally, and maybe you, if you haven't read fiction in a while, or you already are and you're like, period, you're right, Caitlin, I am living my best life. I love it for you. But yeah, that's just one thing for sure that I'm like, wait. So I might be asking people for recommendations, because for one thing, it's hard to get me through a pilot of a show like the first episode. So like, God forbid a fucking book. So we'll see about that. But no, I believe in myself. We're going to figure it out. Secondly, I feel like one perspective I also have when it comes to like self-help stuff and like living your life, quote unquote, like to the fullest or stuff, is I think about my older self looking back on what I was up to, you know, what I was up to right now. And I just like the idea of living less self-helpy isn't that drastic of a change. I think it's almost like a mindset sort of shift thing. But I was just thinking back to like, okay, like I'm 22. I just lied to somebody recently about my age on accident. Like, I completely forgot I was 22. But I was just thinking from 80-year-old Caitlin to 22-year-old Caitlin, like, of cleaning my room. And I think my 80-year-old self romanticized version is like, oh my god, and she's like having a dance party with herself as she cleans her room. I'm like, no, the reality is a lot of the time, if I am cleaning my room, as of right now, I'm like trying to catch up on Love Island still. And I'm doing it in a healthier way, don't worry guys. But I'm like trying to watch a show maybe, or I'm watching a YouTube video, or I'm like listening to a podcast. And if it's my Giggly Squad podcast, then it's just fun and entertainment. But sometimes too, it's like a self-help podcast and it's motivating me. Look at that. Here it comes. Look at that bookend. it's motivating me to clean my room because I just feel motivated in general. But I was like, well, I'd like to play into 80-year-old Caitlin's fantasy though too sometimes. So I'm like, okay, my room's a mess. You can't tell though, girl. But I'd like to play into that a little bit more and just music a little bit more. And maybe also you're already a very musical person, if you will, if you already listen to a lot of music and you have your own little dance parties and stuff. But I think for me, music is definitely a thing that ebbs and flows. There are times in my life where like I'm listening to a ton of music, and then there's times in my life where I'm really not listening to much music besides like at the gym or like getting ready to go out kind of stuff, or like maybe in the car sometimes. But that's another thing, is just like where I'm getting to is like romanticizing the things that you are already going to be doing. So like I said, having your dance party concert as you are cleaning your room, doing the dishes, whatever you're doing, you know, like doing your most romanticized version of that, and almost romanticized in a way of like what your 80-year-old self would like assume that spry young 22-year-old you would be doing. But I feel like there's also other things that you can romanticize. I even think like even like long drives, like basically like my basis for this was like distracting yourself less and like almost enjoying the moment more. Literally put it on a t-shirt, put on a fucking t-shirt, like so revolutionary, Caitlin, but bear with me. But yeah, so when it comes to like cleaning kind of stuff, like instead of distracting yourself from the task, like doing things that will make you just enjoy the task more, or yeah, on a long drive, instead of distracting yourself with like music or a podcast maybe. But I feel like you can enjoy both, obviously, like calling people, or you know, like no, like all this is like whatever. But I don't know, just I guess main basis of that thought is distracting yourself less from like these random things and trying to enjoy more. Distract less, enjoy more. Love it, girl. I love it. Doing more impulsive shit. Duh, again, revolutionary. But I've been working on that a little bit. I definitely have a long way to go when it comes to doing more impulsive things. And my impulsive is not nearly as crazy as some other people's impulsive, but did I say this already on the other day? Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Like I was just like randomly living my day and I was like, I'm gonna do a tiny little hike, and I did it. I was like, oh, yay! And that's a little bit unlike me to just freaking go and do that, because like, you know, there's things that feel like a bigger task than they actually are. Like to me, a hike is like, okay, you're on a hike. I'm like, okay, girl, it's pretty much a walk, like whatever. I'm working on that. But I feel like sometimes listening to that inner child, listening to that inner voice of just like, get the guac, or like get a little drink, or go on the hike, or call this person, or text this person, or put this random thing up on your wall right now. Like, I don't know, doing a little bit more impulsive stuff. And I think the more you do that, the more like you align with yourself and like what you actually want to do or whatever. Yeah, definitely in the works for me. And it doesn't have to be insane shit like, let's go skydiving today. But it's, I don't know, the more you listen to your like little subconscious things of maybe take a different route home, or stop by this person's house to like literally just say hi and then run away and leave. Okay, literally, where is she going with any of this? I don't know where I'm going with any of this. Sorry. Making yourself uncomfortable. Yeah, that's another one. Definitely in the works. I think we all know what makes us uncomfortable. Like, I would even argue like wearing more fun outfits is a way to make yourself uncomfortable. If you don't already do that, but like think there are so many different ways to make yourself uncomfortable, and they will be memorable, and they will probably end up being good. Like talking to people who you normally wouldn't talk to, dancing more than ever at the club. Yeah, like I said about the whole like outfit thing, I feel like that's a big one. Yeah, I feel like so many avenues. Like I'm gonna think of something else that would like literally make me uncomfortable today. I mean, you could like do crazy shit, like literally make a podcast, like that's uncomfy as hell. But yeah, I'm sure that you can like think about that a little bit more, and I will do some more thinking too of like, I don't know, make yourself more uncomfortable, because like why the fuck not? Seek discomfort, if you will. Oh, this is fun. Break character. I need to work on this because I feel like I've come a long way. I'm like doing it pretty good at like being myself, but working a new job, I feel like I still like come in my shell more, and I try to present myself almost as like a slightly more watered down, like palatable version of what I think the person I'm talking to would kind of like, if you will. And it's nothing like too insanely crazy, but like it's the difference from like me being like rah, 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 to like hi, you know, like that's kind of a big difference. And I don't know, I just think like breaking character, and I think there's also multiple ways to break character too. Like obviously there's breaking the character you're putting on to actually just be yourself, like that's something I still definitely need to work on, because I'm like, okay, like Caitlin, people actually like this version much better than like the watered down version that's like, hi, like, how are you today? Like, shut up, literally shut up. And then also, this is sort of related to the episode I was gonna make today, but I didn't, so that'll be coming next week. But sometimes I think we can also back ourselves into a corner of what our character is, like, who are you, you know, like your brand, if you will. That's my Easter egg. But sometimes I think you can back yourself into a corner and know that you are multidimensional. People are multidimensional, and you can break this character that maybe you've like really hammered in. Like for me right now, I'm like, if you listen to Floating Rock Pod, the whole point is like, it's silly, it's positive, it's motivating, woo! And you know what? If I need to, okay, I'm not really one for a big crash out per se, but like if for some fucking reason I need to crash out, I'm allowed to. And I'm allowed to break character. And hell, it will make my life very interesting, you know? Another thing actually on that note, there are no rules. There are no rules to anything in life, and I'm just gonna leave that one there with you. Whatever rules you think you're playing to, okay, there's laws, babe, there are laws, but rules not as much. And I think that there's a lot of like silent societal rules of many things, and I don't know, just remember that there's no rules. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that one there. Oh, another one, change up how you do normal things, like bring cards to the bar, to the restaurant, if you don't already do that. Just makes it a little bit more fun and silly. Bring headbands. Wait, that'd be fucking hilarious if you like brought the game headbands to a bar. Damn, that'd be funny. Okay. Or like, even like for me, like in a way of like romanticizing things, like I don't really bring snacks to the beach very much, but I'm like, wait, if I brought snacks, that'd be cute and it would romanticize it, you know? Okay, I'm running out of battery. Oh my god. Okay, yeah. Change up how you do normal things that you already do. Love it. Focus on and praise your strengths. That's a huge one, to just like remember who you are, love yourself, and just like live and be you. Like the other day, I'm not gonna lie guys, I listened to the entire Caitlin's Corner episode 3 episode, and literally I got in the car, I was like, period. I literally was like, wait, I ate that up. Maybe I'm a narcissist though, like that's totally possible, but I like ate it the fuck up. And it was very validating to be like, wait, I created content that I enjoy, love it, and I hope other people enjoy too. But yeah, praising your strengths, and like if it means watching old videos yourself doing your sport, or re-looking at your artwork, or re-looking at your other shit essays you've written, or other school things, like sometimes you just gotta remind yourself like why you're fucking cool, and like tell yourself and say it out loud like I did. Talk to everybody ever. That's also another thing I'm trying to work on. Talk to everybody ever. I'm gonna leave that one there. You guys already know. And it makes life so much more like random and can take you in a lot more different directions. And lastly, externalize yourself. Like get out of your own head. It kind of comes with talking to people, and just like, I don't know, the more that you can like be around people, compliment people, just like don't be inside of the dome. Like I just feel like that leads to living more, and like, I don't know. I feel like self-help can be a lot of ruminating and not as much doing. Okay, yeah. I hope that was somewhat concise, y'all, but big point of today is self-help is interesting, and sometimes it can be too much, and I think sometimes we do need to step back and live our lives a little bit more, but also I think there's such beauty to self-help, and I think it can really help thyself, and I have definitely benefited so much from it, and it's a passion of mine, and I'm probably not going to stop, because I do think I've grown so much because of this kind of way of thinking and like the content I consume around it, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's like everything else, it's multidimensional. Like you, it's multidimensional. But yeah, I hope that maybe this inspired you to like get out of your head a little bit and like freaking live your life a little bit more, and maybe do something impulsive. Oh, rate the pod, subscribe on YouTube, follow the pod at Floating.Rock.podcast. Okay, now, farewell. I love you very much, and yeah, I hope that this was legible to your brain. Okay, yeah, farewell.